Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we continue diving into the turbulent story of single mom lythica and Officer Hung. As you all know, after countless hardships, lythica has finally regained her memory. But before she can fully embrace this joy, Hung finds himself drowning in a mountain of debt, seemingly with no way out. And even more shocking, this episode unveils a groundbreaking twist involving Diep, the mysterious man from the past. What is Diep really hiding? Has he truly returned to make amends with lythica and Tony, or is there a darker scheme behind his actions? But that's not all. The gentle man who has always silently stood by lythica, finally reveals his feelings for her. 3 men. 3 different fates, and only one heart for lythica to choose. Will she return to the past, open her heart to the present, or bravely step into a brand new chapter of her life? The answer lies in today's episode, where every secret begins to unravel. Stay tuned, because this episode will keep you on the edge of your seat until the very last second. lythica missed home. That feeling had never faded since the day she regained her memory. Every night, as she lay down, her mind would be filled with images of the old worn-out walls, the familiar scent of wood, and the sound of wind gently slipping through the window, all of it urging her to return. Ha's mother, the kind-hearted woman who had always treated lythica like her own daughter, couldn't hide her curiosity. "Where's your home, lythica? One day, take me there. I want to see the place that raised such a strong and resilient girl like you." And today, lythica did exactly that. On the road back, every stretch of pavement, every row of trees seemed to awaken the sleeping memories inside her. The feeling was both familiar and distant, making her heartbeat quicken with each step. The old gate came into view. lythica gently pushed it open. The hinges creaked, dry and rough, yet strangely welcoming, like an old friend calling her home. Stepping into the yard, she froze. The same familiar courtyard was still there, though now overgrown with wild grass, and the walls had faded with time. But everything remained just as she remembered. Her eyes blurred with tears. Memories rushed back, rainy afternoons spent playing with the neighborhood kids, the laughter of her mother echoing in that very yard, and the lost years when she wandered aimlessly, her memory gone. Ha's mother stood quietly by her side, watching her with gentle sympathy. "lythica, are you all right?" she asked softly. lythica didn't answer. She simply reached out and touched the wall, as if to feel every crack, every mark left by time. Now that everything was slowly returning, she cherished this place more than ever. This wasn't just a house. It was her memory. It was where she had grown up, fallen, and risen again. A fierce longing rose in her heart. She wanted to fix every corner, wipe away the dust of time, and turn this place into a real home, a sanctuary where she and her child could begin again. Ha's mother smiled gently and held lythica's hand tightly. She didn't say a word, but in her eyes was a quiet, unspoken understanding. After losing her memory for such a long time, standing now in her familiar home, lythica felt her heart twist in pain. She loved every corner, every old door, as if they were calling her name, begging her to come back. But just as she wandered through the yard, a figure appeared. It was Hung. Breathless, as if he had run all the way there, his face was etched with deep worry when he saw lythica returning home. Without a second thought, he rushed forward and pulled her inside. "lythica, I have to tell you everything." Hung's voice was hoarse, heavy with guilt. And then he confessed. Each word felt like a blade cutting deep into lythica's heart. It was Hung's mother. She was the one who secretly borrowed from loan sharks. And in a desperate, reckless moment, she was the one who hired thugs to harm lythica. lythica froze, stunned. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. But when she looked into Hung's eyes weighed down by regret and unbearable pain, she didn't feel anger. She only felt sorrow and compassion. Hung was the one suffering the most. Now, his mother was drowning in a 900 million debt, their house and land already seized. Hung had been running everywhere, borrowing from anyone he could, just to find a way to buy back their home, just to give his family a chance to survive. All I ask is that you don't stay here for now. Please, stay at Ha's house. It's safer for you there, Hung pleaded, his voice trembling. He couldn't bear to see Hoai hurt ever again. Hoai looked at him for a long time. She understood. More than anyone, she knew the weight he was carrying. And so, she nodded. She didn't want to add to his burden, not while he was fighting desperately to save his family. And so, Hoai took Ha's mother's hand, and together, they left that house full of memories. For now, she would stay at Ha's home, waiting until Hung could set things right. But deep within her heart, a silent storm had just begun. After a long time away on business, Du finally returned, only to hear the news that Hoai, the woman he had always cared for, had once been lost, but had now regained her memory. The moment he heard it, he couldn't wait another second. Du rushed to Hoai's house. But when he arrived, the house was silent and empty. A pang of disappointment struck his chest. Refusing to give up, he quickly drove to Ha's house, the place where he heard Hoai had been staying. There, he was greeted by a peaceful scene. Hoai and Ha's mother were sitting on the porch, their hands deftly slicing herbs. The sight stopped Du in his tracks. He stood still for a moment, gazing at her, his eyes filled with longing and guilt for everything she had been through. When Hoai saw him, she looked surprised at first but then gave a gentle smile. Du walked toward her, and after a few polite greetings, the two finally had a chance to talk in private. Du had thought that once Hoai regained her memory, she would return to her old home. But when she explained that she was staying here for now, to avoid adding pressure on Hung, who was struggling to deal with his family's massive debt, Du's expression darkened. He understood Hoai's compassion, but it worried him even more. Yet, Hoai only shook her head. She looked at him with gentle yet determined eyes, her voice calm but unwavering. Du, staying at Ha's place gives me peace. Here, I feel like I have a real family. After everything that's happened, all I want is for Tony to live a stable life. I know you care about us, but I don't want things to get any more complicated. Du stood silently. His fists clenched, his knuckles turning white. He knew she was strong, but his worry for her was unbearable. Taking a deep breath, he resorted to the only thing that might shake her resolve. Tony, he's my son. Du's voice dropped low, almost pleading. I just want to be near him. I don't want you to keep carrying this burden alone. The words hit Hoai like thunder. She took a deep breath, steadying her trembling voice. Then she lifted her gaze, meeting Du's eyes, the eyes of a father desperate to make up for lost time. Du. I know. I've never denied it. But I'm Tony's mother. I've already lost too much. I can't lose him. All I ask is that you love us and understand me. Please, don't take him from me. That's all I need. Her words cut deep into Du's heart. In that moment, he didn't see a fragile woman in front of him, he saw a mother ready to fight the world to protect her child. Du stood silently for a long while before letting out a faint smile. It wasn't one of joy, but of acceptance, a bittersweet resolve. Slowly, he nodded. I promise. I'll never take Tony away from you. I'll never make you afraid or worried. But Hoai, I'll still be here. I'll stay behind you, protecting you and Tony, even if you don't notice. Hoai's eyes reddened. Those words felt like a warm breeze brushing against her tired heart. Even if there was still a distance between them, at least she knew there was someone who would always be there, asking for nothing, only watching over her and Tony in silence. Diep's gaze shifted to Tony, who was sleeping soundly in Hoai's mother's arms inside the house. His eyes softened with tenderness and determination. In his heart, he made a silent vow. Tony, I'll never abandon you. Even if I must stay in the shadows, I'll protect you and your mother. As for Hoai, she turned away, hiding the tears that had escaped down her cheeks. At that moment, she realized, sometimes, love isn't about holding on, it's about knowing when to step back so the one you love can find peace. But she also knew, once Hung returned, once the deaths remained unresolved, this peace would only be temporary. Diep drew a deep breath and spoke again. This wasn't the first time he had said it, but this time, his voice carried unshakable resolve. Hoai, come stay at my house. Let me take care of you and Tony. I don't want you to suffer any longer. His eyes burned with sincerity, almost desperation. He wasn't only worried about her health after everything she'd been through, he wanted, for once, to make things right for her and Tony. Hoai lowered her head. His words stirred her heart. She knew he cared. But her mind was a tangled web of thoughts, Hung, his crushing debt, and the old wounds that still hadn't healed. From afar, Hoai's mother watched them both, sensing the heavy tension that hung over the porch. Knowing the burden Hung was carrying, Diep couldn't just stand by. He thought for a long time, then finally decided to invite Hung to his house for an honest conversation. That afternoon, the sky was overcast, but inside Diep's home, the air felt strangely warm. When Hung stepped in, his shoulders were heavy with debt and family pressure, yet his eyes still carried a quiet strength. He had no idea why Diep had called him over. Deep down, he even feared it might be a confrontation, perhaps because of Hoai. But contrary to what Hung expected, Diep wasn't hostile. He simply pulled out a chair, gestured for Hung to sit, and without hesitation, placed a thick envelope on the table. His voice was steady but resolute. Hung, I know you're struggling. Take this money. No interest. No rush to pay it back. Just get through this first. Hung froze. His hand hovered midair. He stared at the envelope, then looked up at Diep, his eyes filled with shock and disbelief. For years, Hung had fought his battles alone. He wasn't used to receiving help, especially not from the man once seen as his rival. Diep. Hung stammered, but Diep raised his hand and cut him off. Don't say a word. We both care about Hoai and Tony. I don't care who she ends up with. But first, you need to stand strong. As long as you can protect them, that's enough for me. Those words hit Hung like a tidal wave. In that moment, all the tension between them dissolved. Hung no longer saw Diep as an opponent. Instead, he saw a man willing to set aside his own feelings, for the sake of the same woman and child they both loved. They talked for hours. Not just about debts, but about Hoai. About Tony, the little boy who didn't understand the storms the adults were weathering. And by the end, they came to a remarkable agreement. No matter who Hoai chose, Tony would never lack love. That very afternoon, an extraordinary scene unfolded. Tony was running through the park, laughter spilling into the air. And there were Diep and Hung, two men who once couldn't even face each other, now taking turns pushing Tony's swing, buying him ice cream, and laughing like old friends. From a distance, Hoai's eyes welled with tears. She had never imagined a day like this, when the two men who once stood opposed, could stand together for one reason: Tony. Diep gazed at Tony with quiet tenderness, as if whispering in his heart, "Son, no matter what, I will always be here." And Hùng, for the first time in a long while, allowed himself a small, genuine smile, a smile of relief. Under the soft golden light of late afternoon, three figures, one child and two men, looked almost like an odd little family. No words were needed. Just a glance, a nod, and that was enough. And in that fleeting moment, Hoai realized, after all the storms, she and Tony had finally found a rare moment of peace. But peace, sometimes, is only the calm before the next storm. From the day Hoai moved into Ha's house, the quiet little home in the mountains suddenly became warmer and livelier. Hoai was like a fresh breeze, gentle, resilient, a woman who had been through countless hardships yet never lost her smile. Every morning, when the mist still blanketed the winding red dirt roads, Hoai would wake early to help Ha's mother prepare their tools and head into the forest to gather medicinal herbs. She never complained. Her hands, once used to lighter tasks, grew rough and calloused from farm work, but Hoai felt at peace. To her, working and helping Ha's family was not only a way to repay their kindness but also a way to rebuild her own strength. On those trips to the forest, Hoai often chatted with Ha's mother. The old woman would share stories of Ha, how he was once a reckless young man who broke her heart time and time again. But since Hoai's arrival, she had witnessed a transformation in her son that she never thought possible. On the days they didn't go into the forest, Hoai would follow Ha into the fields. She helped him harvest tea leaves, gather vegetables, and sometimes even insisted on carrying buckets of water to spare him the effort. Ha, who was used to the elegant girls from the town, never imagined he would one day feel his heart stirred by such a simple, steadfast woman, a woman who had suffered deeply, yet still stood strong. And every time Hoai smiled, it was like sunlight breaking through the gray clouds in Ha's heart. He knew she didn't belong to him. He knew very well that her heart still beat for Hùng, the man she loved with unwavering faith and even deeper scars. But Ha never spoke a word. He buried his feelings deep inside, and whenever his gaze lingered on her, he silently told himself, "As long as I can be by her side, as long as I can see her happy, that's enough." Ha's mother saw it too. She didn't say anything, but her eyes held a mix of sympathy and pride each time she looked at her son. Since Hoai came, Ha was no longer the careless, reckless boy she used to scold. He had become steady, hardworking, and thoughtful. She had never seen him so mature. One evening, after Hoai tucked Tony into bed, Ha's mother quietly pulled him out to the porch. The moonlight revealed the quiet turmoil on his face. She spoke softly. "Ha, I know you care for her. But son, some feelings are meant to be kept in the heart. If you truly love her, then let her find peace. Let her be happy with the man she's chosen." Ha didn't speak. He only nodded, because deep down, he had always known this truth. But instead of jealousy or resentment, Ha chose to stay by her side, silently protecting her, like a loyal friend. From that night on, Ha worked even harder. He threw himself into helping Hoai and his mother, not just to make up for the mistakes of his past but also to prove to himself that he had truly changed. And Hoai noticed. Each time she saw him carrying heavy sacks of tea or repairing the leaking roof, her heart swelled with gratitude. She knew Ha cared for her, but he had never spoken of it, never pressured her. Instead, his quiet presence gave her something she had longed for after all her storms: peace. In the soft light of the mountain evenings, when the sun dipped behind the distant hills, the family gathered around their modest dinner table. Tony chattered happily, Hoai smiled gently, and Ha sat in silence, watching it all with a bittersweet warmth in his chest. He might never have her love, but he could protect her. And for him, that was enough. And so, in that fragile peace, Ha changed day by day. From a reckless boy, he became a true man, one who knew how to love, to sacrifice, and to place the happiness of others above his own heart. So, will Hung, the man carrying the crushing weight of his mother's debts, be able to endure these darkest days? He has nothing left, not even the house his father once built, which has now been seized. Yet, he refuses to give up. He runs everywhere, fighting desperately to keep his family together and to keep his promise to Hoai, to give her and Tony a safe and peaceful home. And Hoai, ever since regaining her memory, she's been torn apart by conflicting emotions. On one side is Hung, the man who once risked everything to protect her. On the other is Du, Tony's biological father, who has returned, filled with regret and determined to sacrifice everything just to be with her and their son. And then, there's Ha, the quiet, steadfast man who sheltered her and Tony through the hardest of days. He loves her deeply but has never spoken a word, choosing instead to protect her in silence. 3 men. 3 different kinds of love. And one Hoai, standing at a crossroads. Ha, the kind-hearted man of the mountains, continues to stay by her side, offering simple, unspoken care. He asks for nothing in return. Just being near her is enough. Du, after years apart, has returned with both remorse and resolve. He doesn't just want to right his past mistakes, he wants to reclaim his place as Tony's father, to give the boy a family filled with both a father's and a mother's love. And Hung, weighed down by endless debts, grits his teeth and endures, hoping that one day, he'll be able to take Hoai's hand and walk with her out of this storm. But in this tangled struggle, who will Hoai's heart truly choose? Will Hung find the strength to conquer his debts, or will the crushing burden finally break him? Will Du be forced to watch from the shadows, or will he fight to win back the woman he's never stopped loving? And Ha, the silent man of the mountains, will he continue to hide his feelings, or one day, will he lay it all bare, even if it means risking everything? This story is far from over. Stay tuned for the next episode, where secrets will be revealed, relationships will be tested, and love will be pushed to the edge of life and death.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Thì hôm nay thì mình tiếp tục đưa đến cho mọi người câu chuyện tình yêu của mẹ đơn thân Lý Hoài Ca và cảnh sát Hùng nha mọi người. Ở trong tập hôm nay thì diễn biến của câu chuyện nó đang khá là bất ngờ khi Hoài Ca đang bị bao vây giữa tình cảm của 3 người đàn ông, đó là Hùng, Hà và lại là Đô nữa. Vậy thì cô sẽ có lựa chọn như thế nào thì mình mời mọi người xem tiếp ở tập sau để biết những diễn biến tiếp theo. Và liệu Hoài Ca có quay trở lại với Hùng không, trong khi Hùng đang gánh một khoản nợ vô cùng to lớn, và anh sẽ làm gì để vượt qua? Thì liệu là tình yêu có thể chiến thắng số phận hay không? Thì mời mọi người hãy đăng ký kênh, sau đó bật chuông thông báo lên để không bỏ lỡ bất kỳ video nào mọi người nhé. Xin chào tạm biệt mọi người, hẹn gặp lại trong những video tiếp theo.